couple of minutes.
Okay,
I'm
maybe
trying to...
could you talk to me a little bit about a dissertation work you did on a fellow named Adorno?
Right. Here's how it works in. When I
And
had
who
my,
he is, introduce him.
well, I'll be honest with you. I lost my house got vandalized at one point in '89, and I lost my library and everything. But I was also in a doctoral program at Boston University in counseling psychology. But I was also a full-time professor at Northern Essex Community College in Haverhill. There were a lot of wonderful students. There were mothers on welfare. There were Vietnam vets. There were all these little bit older and incredibly creative people. And maybe they had a bad self-concept. Maybe their grammar wasn't good. But they were really sharp, wonderful students. And the classrooms were very exciting. And I've taught at 3 universities and 2 colleges. So, but in my first class, I began actually in January of '70. I was actually 24 years old.
Okay.
So Kent State happened.
Oh boy, I remember
and I'm
that.
in there in this class, you know, and I was a young guy with these guys that had T-shirts with the rolled up Lucky Strikes over here.
I know,
and then some of them had the slide rulers. They were working for Raytheon and the military-industrial complex. And some of them were, yeah, it's about time we taught those students a lesson and all this stuff. So I was really high. I couldn't comprehend the vast extremes between some of the sensitive engineering type students and some of these really right-wing, rabid type, probably ex-Korean War guys.
It's hard
so
to
I
understand.
began developing an attitudinal instrument to measure their attitudes in class. And then by 1972, I would give a pre-survey on 49 attitudinal items, and then at the end, the second to last class, and then I'd measure their attitudes, because I wanted to know as a professor,
how did this
what
come about?
difference does it make that I'm coming here for 45 class hours trying to create this dialogue? And I felt the successful class was one that had dialogue. So I developed a liberalism, conservatism scale, and attitude change amongst college students.
And you drafted that yourself?
Yeah, it's a 142-page study.
Oh, you got it in your lap, right?
I have a photo. The original was lost, but this is the document here. And Amy Goodman was interested in this.
In that document, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
and I'm trying to put it on CD. And I had a Professor Zev from Tel Aviv University who wanted to co-publish it, at least the abstract, a journal article on it. Well, and I went all the way to Israel in '75, but for some reason I chose not to do it, which was a mistake. But anyway,
but you had a thing, like a questionnaire or something to get the attitude of the people. That's
49 items, which was correlated to Adorno's F scale.
Okay, thank you.
And it was a correlation that, in other words, people who are high in authoritarianism on the Adorno scale correlated exactly with my updated survey that they were also the high authoritarian or, quote, conservative personalities.
Thank you very much.
In my research,
now,
there was a correlation in this research.
Yeah, that's
and then I was correlating it to family dynamics.
Okay.
In other words, I was saying, well, what causes this?
Yeah, what causes the authoritarian type to emerge?
Well, I think if you have a kind of a gentle, sweet, nice, democratic type father, in terms of fatherhood, you're going to usually not rebel against that and go along with it. And likewise, if you have a nurturing, caring, sensitive, empathic mother in that household, and it's a democratic household, you'll move in that direction. Now, the important thing in my research was, if you have an authoritarian, sort of abusive, nasty, bad guy father, father-led, father-dominated family, and you don't rebel against that, it's going to be hard for you to rebel against the President of the United States who's waging war, and you're going to be saying things like, we ought to bomb him back in the Stone Age, because there's, by the way, if you have a mother that's like that as well.
You mean authoritarian?
Yeah, authoritarian with no empathy for other people, narcissistic, self-centered. I'm making sweeping generalities.
No, I can understand.
But these family dynamics, I believe, more cases than not, lead to these kinds of dynamics. So
that's really important, and it came off or it correlated with Adorno's work.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't remember what Adorno was saying about the family backgrounds.
Not necessarily, but there was a correlation between the thing you did and his general thesis.
Yeah, but in my thesis is that if you had a loving democratic family, and if you were a child in that family, oftentimes you would, why would you rebel against something that's loving and nice? Why would I rebel against my loving grandfather?
Yeah.
Who, by the way, would do such things as give me a book about the Indians in America, a tremendous book, this big, that I still have, with the 64 tribes. It cost them half a week's pay to buy that.
And it wasn't something where you're shooting them off the good guys.
No, so I always identified with the Indians.
Yeah, me too.
I'm never a cavalry guy.
Right.
And it's not in my nature.
I know.
But now I want to lead up because we might be running out of time.
No, we got time for the clip. We'll get it in, don't worry.
Yeah, but it's 10 minutes.
Oh, I know.
And we're going to need time to...
I know. But the other thing is, Adorno, just quick.
Yeah.
Now, you wrote things that correlated with him, and that relates to this too.
Yeah.
Just quick,
yeah.
Couple minutes. Adorno, where does he fit in? What was his thesis?
Okay.
How did it fit into
his book is this big, The Authoritarian Personality.
Yeah.
And I think he was fascinated by Nazi Germany, and there's been a lot of discussion, you know, the Germans are militaristic and authority-bound. And I've been to Germany. I've been around the Havana Psychiatric Hospital, Cairo Mental Hospital, Istanbul, Athens, transcultural analyses.
It's a huge subject, the authoritarian personality. Why?
Yeah.
How does it come?
Well, I think he was trying to look in, how did this happen in pre-Nazi Germany?
Yeah, right.
William Wright, The Mass Psychology of Fascism, all that stuff. But I think the important thing is that in every culture, there are right-wing, left-wing people, and I think the main distinguishing personality feature is the ability to empathize with other people.
Huge.
Empathy.
Yeah.
If you haven't learned empathy, you can't feel for other people.
And it's going to be hard to do if the family setting isn't one that lets that nurturing and that empathy develop, right?
Yeah, and I
That's
should
very
mention,
important.
the other one that 2 weeks ago, T-bowed and recorded my rap I did in front of the Israeli mission, where we were talking about the Gaza Strip and free Gaza and all this stuff. And I've been to Israel, and that point is the point for all countries. There are always these right-wing militant people that want to first strike you first and talk later. And then the other people say, well, no, wait, we got to talk and all this stuff. So that was going on in Germany, to make a sweeping generality. It goes on in Israel, it goes on in our country, it was going on in Greece in '67. Everywhere there is this distinction, and I was fascinated between the people who are quick to anger and, and versus those who, oh, by the way, are correlated to the Minnesota multiphasic personality. And the key feature, personality-wise, is that the so-called left wings, they're called bleeding heart liberals, but they scored highest in being tender-minded. Tender-minded versus
as opposed to realpolitik.
Hard-nosed.
Realpolitik.
And I did a thing on nonverbals, and you remember Nixon? He would say, "We want peace." He'd close his eyes, and he'd have both his fists up, and that was crazy.
Right.